Hey, why won't your New Year's resolutions work? I'm going to tell you right now on this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey, what's up? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to the Unlock Success Podcast. In fact, this is our first episode of 2021. So hopefully you had a phenomenal new year and are hitting the ground running and ready to crush some of your goals and make 2021 the best year of your life. You know, 2020 was a bad year for probably most people in the world. But I do think that there were some silver linings. I think there were some things we learned. I think there were some things that we can take from 2020 that can help us succeed at a higher level in 2021. You know, I created the Unlock Success Podcast last year in 2020, and it's my way to reach you, to reach all, everybody that needs some help unlocking success in a certain part of their life. And look, we talk about a lot of entrepreneurial stuff, right? We talk a lot about business because that's obviously one of the things that's really important to me. I'm very passionate about it, but it's also unlocking success in your life, unlocking success in your relationships, unlocking success in your goals. And that's what I want to talk about on this episode. You know, I hear so many people make New Year's resolutions. It's amazing to me. I teach a group of students every Thursday night, and I have a big Facebook group, and it's a big following in general. And people always tell me they'll reply to my emails, or they'll put somewhere that my New Year's resolution is X, right? And I started, my New Year's resolution is to lose weight. It's to make more money. It's to start my own business. It's to quit my job. It's to spend more time with my family, spend more time with my kids. But let me tell you what happens with New Year's resolutions, right? It's the same reason that gym owners love January 1st. You are going to lose weight, gain muscle, and maybe in my case, I don't need to lose any weight. And so you go and you sign up at the gym because, man, it's 2021. You're ready to do it right. And by February 1st, you're not going anymore. And by June 1st, you haven't been in months. And by November 1st, you're still paying for it, but you aren't there. And then the end of the year comes around and you start looking back thinking, man, I wish. Look at all that time that's passed. Look at all those days that have passed. And yeah, I didn't get to the gym because I had this going on, or I had that going on, or this came up, or that came up. We start making excuses for ourselves, right? We're hard on ourselves. We make excuses for ourselves. And we say, you know what, next year, it's going to be better. 2022 rolls around. You create the same exact New Year's resolution. I'm going to get back in that gym. I'm going to hit those weights. I'm going to lose some weight, whatever it is, right? And you know what? The story plays out the same way. For most people, New Year's resolutions are just a feel-good moment in your life, but they're just a moment. They're not any extended amount of time. It's just a small little window of time where you decide you're going to do better at something, but you never follow through. Now, have you ever thought about why that happens? I always ask people this. Have you ever thought about why your New Year's resolution doesn't ever really happen? And the answer is you have no plan to make it happen. Think about that. I want to lose weight. This year, I'm going to lose weight. So you sign up at the gym, okay? Wonderful. But guess what? You still have your job. You still have your family. You still have your commitments. You still have your favorite TV shows, right? You still travel. You still have all the things going on in your life that were going on last year, but now you want to insert this goal, this thing, this resolution into there, but you have no plan on how you're going to make it happen, on how you're going to actually achieve that plan. You say your New Year's resolution is, I'm going to make more money. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to quit my job. And then what do? You get all fired up, you get on the internet and you look for the best place to learn how to make money on the internet, and you buy that product, and you know what you do with it? Not a damn thing. You never log in. You never read the book. You never do anything. Why? because you haven't really committed. You haven't really created a plan. All you've done is had a great idea for a second. And ideas, guess what? You cannot cash ideas in at the bank. I tried. I went there once. I asked, I have a great idea. Can you give me $1 million? And they said, you're crazy. No, it's that simple. Ideas are not checks. You don't cash them. They don't pay your mortgage, right? It's that simple. So what do you have to do to make this actually work? Why don't New Year's resolutions work? Well, I just told you why. But how do we flip that script? How do we change that? How do we quit this 80-20 rule, right? Where like 80% of people are going to fail at something and 20% are going to succeed. How do we stop that from happening? Because in 2021, you need that plan. You need to know how to make that happen in your life, because guess what? If you don't do it this year, you won't do it next year. And if you don't do it next year, eventually you wake up 10, 20, 30 years from now, and either you have missed all of your opportunity to actually do this stuff, or you look back and you say, I lived a good life, but man, I missed out on doing X, Y, and Z. Maybe your path is completely different. Look, if your New Year's resolution is, I want to make more money, imagine your future 10, 15 years from now, looking back at, let's say today, right? Because we're just into the new year, 2021. You look back at today as a day where you remember that you had a New Year's resolution to make more money. And let's say 15 years from now, you look back down that path. Guess what? If you just make a resolution like you always do, and you fail to actually achieve this resolution like you always do, then 15 years from now, when you look back at this moment in time, you will be looking back at a completely different life than you would be looking at if you actually achieved the goal that you're setting for your New Year's resolution. Have you ever thought about that? Your whole life, your whole plan, everything changes when you actually take action on your goals. So how do we achieve this? I did this exercise with my students, and since this is a podcast, I'm not going to be able to draw it out for you, but I can tell you how to do it. What you do is you grab a piece of paper, okay? And you draw a box in that piece of paper. And then you put 2 lines in the middle. You make 3 columns, okay? So 3 columns in this box. Column number 1, you write goals. Column number 2, you write actions. Column number 3, you write negative actions. Follow me here. 3 columns, goals, actions, negative actions. Now let's go down the path. Let's say your goal is, I want to make more money. Phenomenal. You want to make more money. This is great. Write that goal down. Boom. Now, instead of it just being a goal and a resolution, let's create an action plan. What are the actions that you need to be able to take right now in order to make more money? Well, let's say one of those actions is you need to research. Let's just say that yours is you want to make money on the internet, right? You want to start your own online business. Action step number 1 would be you need to research what type of business you want to start online. What type of business do you want to start? There's a million different things. You could do Shopify store, Amazon store, affiliate marketing, create your own course, be a coach, a consultant. There's like tons of ways to make money on the internet, right? Then you look at action step number 2, all right? You need to buy access to tools that are going to help you to do this. For instance, if you wanted to be an affiliate marketer, right? You might need to buy ClickFunnels, because ClickFunnels is a tool that's going to let you put those pages out there, build your email list, do the things that you're learning to do, for instance, okay? So there's these things that you've got to buy. You might need to buy a course, right? You might need to buy a course, some education, somebody to teach you, to share with you how this is done, right? So you got courses and you've got tools, and then you've got obviously research, right? Let's just stop at those 3 because there's tons more that you could go with. All right, so research requires what? It requires time. Buying a course requires what? It requires money and it requires time, because you buy it, but then you got to go through it. Buying tools, the tools and resources, that requires money. So what do we need in order to complete these actions? We need money and we need time. All right? Well, guess what? I know that you, probably like me and everybody else, we all wish we had more money and more time. But the fact of the matter is, we don't, because we're busy living life, doing what we do on a daily basis. So let's say that you're on a tight budget and you've got a tight schedule. And so in order to achieve this goal of making more money, maybe building an internet business, okay, you've got to do these 3 things that require time and money. So what you do is in the negative action column, we start writing down the stuff we got to stop doing in order to be able to do the stuff we need to be doing. For instance, step number 1, quit watching the news. Sounds simple, right? But guess what? What is watching TV and watching the news doing for you? It's taking away time. That's time that could be spent on this other action step of, say, research or going through this course. Maybe negative action number 2, quit drinking. Go figure. Nothing wrong with people that drink, right? But if you're drinking and you're smoking, okay, guess what you're doing? Spending money. It's money you don't have to spend. It's money nobody's making you spend. It's money you're choosing to spend. So if your excuse for not reaching your goals and not achieving these New Year's resolutions is, well, I didn't have the money for the tools, and I didn't have the money for the education. Really? You couldn't give up drinking on the weekends to save the money that you need to buy the tools and to buy the course? You couldn't give up smoking? Something that, look, let's just be honest, right? I'm not judging you if you smoke, but there's no way in hell that smoking does any good for you, right? Like, we're not talking about like this is a good thing. So if we cut that out, how much money are we saving, right? What about going out on the weekends and partying, going out to eat on the weekends? Things that you don't have to do, you can now cut out as negative actions. These negative actions, when you start eliminating them from your life, all of a sudden time frees up, money frees up, right? This is the reason why you never achieve your resolutions. It's the reason why they don't work, because you don't have the time or you don't have the money. That's the only reason that they don't work. So when we cut all of these actions, these negative actions out of our schedule, all of a sudden, the time that you were spending watching TV, you're sitting around, you're like, well, I don't watch TV anymore. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to get on the computer and I'm going to go through that course that I bought. There's an idea. Or, oh, I'm going to get on my butt up to the gym and I'm going to work out because I no longer watch TV for 2 hours a day. I no longer go out on the weekends. I no longer drink. I no longer smoke. I no longer waste money on Starbucks coffee every single morning, $5, $6, $7, just because that's my vice. Here's the thing. No entrepreneur and nobody that's in great physical shape got there because they didn't sacrifice something. Nobody has a great relationship in 2020, right, that didn't sacrifice something to get there. You always hear relationships, they're give and take, right? You give some, you take some. It's compromise. And anytime you compromise, you are giving up something, you're sacrificing something. I know for a fact in my own life, like my relationship, it's been, 2020 was rocky for just like it has been for everybody, right? It's a lot more time in the same place with no time to yourself, right? And the one thing I realized was, looking through, and look, my wife and I would do great. I love my wife. Everything is fine. But, look at all the divorces that happened in 2020. Why do you think they happened? Well, they happened because people were stuck in one place at one time and they just flat out can't compromise, right? They can't come to this middle ground. The thing is, success requires sacrifice. Anybody that tells you it doesn't is full of crap, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, and you want to achieve this goal, this hypothetical goal we wrote out, which is make more money, then you're going to have to give something up. That's just it. You're going to have to sacrifice something. So it's so simple when you draw out this little box and you make these 3 columns and you really look at what you're going to have to sacrifice to have, in this case, the time and the money to actually do the things that you need to do to achieve this goal. You see 2 things. You see a path to that success, meaning a plan, right? Which is something that you have to have. Otherwise, you're just aimlessly floating about through 2021 with achieving nothing. The second thing is, you see what you have to sacrifice. You visually see it. And you got to determine, is it worth sacrificing these negative actions here, okay, to achieve this goal? Am I willing to quit drinking my coffee every single morning for every single day of 2021 so that I can save, $6 a day, right? Maybe a couple $1,000s in a year that you can invest in your business? Am I willing to not go drink on the weekend? I don't know. I don't drink. I don't know how much it costs, but I know it's expensive, right? Am I willing to not spend $50 a week drinking and partying on the weekends, that I could take that money, that $2,500 or whatever, and put that on my business? Now I'm at $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. All of a sudden, I got $8,000 that I know I can invest in my business. Am I willing to sacrifice this stuff that I enjoy doing short term so that I can actually have time and money to take the actions needed to be successful, knowing that on the other end of that success, I can still go back to doing all that? Once I build my business and I'm starting to make money, I can go back and I can afford to drink, and I can afford to drink my Starbucks and all that stuff. But at some point, you have to be willing to make a sacrifice. If you go through this exercise and you write down these 3 columns, you will see clearly why your New Year's resolutions do not ever work. Because if you're looking at the negative action column and the positive action column and you're saying, oh man, that's a lot of work, well then guess what? Without visually seeing it, you'll never actually do it. But when you draw it out, you see a plan, you see a path, you see a formula. Humans are, this is what we thrive on, formulas. Hey, it's like anybody. You want to know, what is the outcome? What do I have to do to get this outcome, right? We love a formula that tells us A plus B equals C, right? We don't want to have to guess. It's just the way it is, right? This gives you a formula. It gives you a plan. It shows you exactly how to succeed with your New Year's resolutions. They become goals, not resolutions. They become a plan, not an idea. And it becomes actionable steps, not aimlessly floating through the year. And it comes with sacrifice, not selfishness. So if you want to have success in anything, your relationship, your health and wellness, making more money, you need to do this exercise. Listen, in 2021, I hope to bring you more really good content here on our podcast. We've been doing this now for over a year, and we'll have guests on this year. We're going to really try to dive deep into what it takes to really unlock success, because sometimes it's literally as simple as visually seeing and understanding what it is that you're doing, right? This is not rocket science, what I just taught you here, but it is the small hinge that'll swing the big door. It is the reason and the path to being successful with the resolutions, now the goals that you have in 2021. And it's something that I'm really excited to be able to share with you here on the first podcast of 2021. So if you love this, please continue to listen. And I look forward to having you here next week on the next episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.